Hey everyone, today we will be showing how to spool a spinning reel with braided line. Now the first step is going to be to put a monofilament backing on there. You could use electrical tape too, would be another option, but we are going to go ahead and put a mono backing on. So you're just going to want to run this through the first eyelet here at the bottom of this rod, and you're going to run that down, and then under the bail, this is the bail right here, and then you're going to take it up to where you have the two ends like this around the spool. You are then going to do an improved clinch knot, wrap it around there about 7 times or so, back through. Then you're going to want to pull the knot tight to the spool. So now that we have the knot on the spool, tight to the spool, you can cut this tag end off. I wouldn't cut it off all the way, but you can trim it down some to where it's fairly close to the spool. So that's nice and tight. We're going to pull this out, and then we have a stand right here. You can watch the other video, but it's basically, I explained this in another video, but it's basically just some 2x4s with a hole through it about 3 inches or so up. You're gonna have the spool on there, so you're gonna want to put some tension on the line. It doesn't have to be a whole lot, and just let it spool. After you have the spool with a little bit of mono backing, then you can start putting on the braided line. Now, how much the mono backing is really specific to whether or not you're wanting to try to fill up the spool a little bit before you put the braid on, or you're wanting to put just enough to get the backing on. In this case, since this is a spinning rod and since it doesn't have a whole lot of line capacity, I'm just wanting to put enough on so it'll have something to bite into. I don't want to put so much on that I'm going to be taking volume away from the braided line, since we don't have much volume to begin with. Next thing we'll want to do, I have a big spool of braid. This is 80-pound spider wire. Yeah, it's likely overkill for this reel, but I have a whole bunch of it. I bought it on a good sale a little while back. And this one is the same principle. You're just going to... So now that we have our mono backing on, we're going to need to connect these two lines together, the braid and the mono. The knot that we're going to use to do this is called the double uni knot. Now I'll put a link in the description of a little bit better video over a bunch of the fishing knots, including the uni knot. We're going to pull these two down together. So after we tie the knot, you can trim the tag ends off, and it should look like this. I'll trim them off just a little bit closer. But this is what it should look like. After that, you're going to want to put some tension on the line, and then you're going to want to start to reel. You'll want to go a little bit slower whenever the knot goes in to make sure that passes fine. But after the knot goes, then you should be able to reel away. Just remember to keep tension on the line. So something that makes this a little bit easier is to have another person helping to reel. And then another good thing to do is to tighten the drag up on the reel. That way you can put more tension on the line, because you're going to want a decent amount of tension on this line whenever you're spooling it.
Look how many is on there.
Mm-hmm. You're going to want a decent amount of tension on the spool so the line's nice and tight. If you don't have enough tension on the spool, it can present a real problem if you put a lot of pressure on it, and the braid will bite back down into itself and it'll kind of get stuck. Okay, so we can look at the spool now. We see we've got a pretty good amount of line on the spool. You don't want to get too much, definitely not too much more, because it'll start to come off of this lip whenever the bail comes open and it comes out. And we will go ahead and we'll be done here. So we'll take it and cut the line. Now the easiest thing to cut the line with is a knife. Side cuts don't work very good for the braided line. So the last step on this after you run it through all of your eyelets and the poles is to go ahead and put the swivel on. Now if you're doing a Carolina rig, you would go ahead and you would put your weight and bead on before this. But we're just going to do a bottom rig for this one. So what we're going to do is a polymer knot for this one. It's where you have the line go through and back through. And it's just like you're tying an overhand knot. Bring the line up through. Instead of an overhand knot, you just go around the swivel. Then you cinch that down. There you go. Cut the tag end off. And there you have it. I hope this video was helpful for you guys. There's a few other videos like this that I have on the channel, and I plan to be putting out at least 2 videos a week. Have a good one, guys. We'll see you.